Well, hello there, everyone. And guess what? Baby Crone is here to teach you guys about anatomy. Don't worry, this semester I'm going to be taking my first part of anatomy, so I will be back in another 3 months to really share with you guys what I've learned in anatomy. However, this is me just teaching based off of astrology because after all, the zodiac signs are a part of the body. And I did talk about the first house with Kim Kardashian, and the first house in the birth chart is about your physical body, the health of the physical body, what body parts or features are going to be prominent in your life, and also what are you most interested in your body. It's what's your focus, because the first house is all about the body. However, today we're going to be talking about just the body parts. And of course, we're going to retouch on Kim Kardashian's first house, so that way I can complete the first house and then fully move on to the second house, because we have 12 houses to talk about. So today we are going to get started. Look at that. Yes, don't worry, I'm literally not going to be showing organs and body parts in this. And don't worry, when I go and explain anatomy further in like 3 and 6 months from now, I am not going to be showing body parts literally and physically. Everything is going to be drawn out. So it is not going to be rated R for anybody that's squeamish about those kinds of things, even though I enjoy looking at the human body parts as a biology person that's into the human body. So first we're going to be talking about the astrological body, and as you see in this picture right here, we have all 12 zodiac signs, and they deal with certain parts of the body. We're going to be talking about the external body and the internal body as well, because it's all the human body, so the zodiac signs rule them more than just an arm. It could be like an arm, some muscles, and the bones, you know. So we're going to be going a little bit in detail, and don't worry, some things that you're just like, well, what does that do? I have it explained in the video. So first we're going to be talking about as I said briefly in the video, the astrological body represents both your health, like dietary needs, the type of fitness that best works out for your body, and also your physical conditions. Do you have anything in your first house that might accentuate body features or decrease body features or have deficiencies? And another way to look at the astrological body is by looking at your big three, or as they call it, the triad. Your sun, moon, and rising, because these 3 parts are the very 3 core parts that make you up. And then all the other planets are like the missing pieces to fill it in. So the sun is like the driving force. It's literally you. Your sun sign represents your life force or your spirit in a sense. Your moon, your inner emotions, well, that represents your functional processes, because the moon has cycles and is often represented by the female body reproductive system and giving birth and having menstrual cycles. So that way, that's a functional process and how to maintain your inner world. But then you have your rising sign, which shows what zodiac sign was rising on the horizon when you were born, and this sets everything else in your birth chart. And this represents your literal physical body, because your rising sign represents what you present out to the world. So this is how you dress your physical body. And also, if you have any planets in the first house, as I said, they will be more prominent in your life. So we're going to start off with Aries, and Aries represents the face, literally everything on the face, from like the jaw to like the muscles to the nose, like literally the entire face. And what's encapsulated in the face? We have the brain and also the adrenal glands. Now that was very interesting. The adrenal glands represents, energies are known to be a high strong zodiac sign, and that's because they're always pumping with adrenaline and energy. Well, this is what your adrenal glands are. This is how your body reacts to fight or flight situations. This is your quick response system. And also because of this, in order to have all these functioning processes work, you have to be in contact with the heart and also the blood that flows through the body, because if you need to run faster, you need to have your blood pumping a certain way, and if certain body parts aren't getting blood, then they're not going to work efficiently if you need it in a survival mode, for example. This is, we're just literally, I'm taking it as like barbaric as levels as possible, so you can get an understanding about how these certain traits represent. But I did talk about temperaments, because a fire sign is hot and dry. So there's two qualities. So hot. Hot is hot, but hot can also be damaging. So if you're like doing fitness, like as an Aries, you could be doing something high intense, and you have to be careful not to damage your body or damage certain things, because you just want to go, and you don't want to slow down. So you have to be careful. And another thing, as dry, things that are dry tend to break easily. So that's why you have to be careful. I mean, are fire signs known to be a bit clumsy? Maybe. Not really clumsy, but because you can't contain fire, it's always moving, so therefore they might trip up on something, or they might not look over something too well, and it goes dormant or unnoticed, and then it becomes a health problem later. So that's just something for all fire signs. But because Aries is a cardinal, so it starts the season, it's very direct, so Aries is going to feel that the most out of all the fire signs, basically. And then we move on to Taurus, and Taurus represents, so now we're moving from the head. From the head we have the neck, and inside your neck you have your throat. So Taurus rules your throat and everything that's a part of the throat, and surprisingly the ears. But you know what, that makes sense, because Taurus is all about the senses. So you have the tongue, you can taste, your sense, you can hear, you can taste by, I did say taste, but you could also smell through your mouth too, and it sounds weird. And then you also can see. I know that's a part of the head, but that's another sense that you can feel out your physical world through, because why? Taurus is an earth sign. So earth signs is all about the senses and really getting to feel and understand your physical world. And we're going to talk about the thyroid gland specifically. And the thyroid gland is how metabolism is maintained in the body. And basically, as they say, as you get older, your metabolism slows down, because your body just isn't producing all the glands, organs, not the organs, but nutrients that it needs, because you're dying, basically. But so the thyroid gland is, so there's ways you can eat or try to exercise, and your thyroid gland is right here in your throat, by the way. I didn't put it in the picture, but it's right about right here if you look up the thyroid. So it's in the throat, and it's very interesting. Well, that makes sense for it in the throat, because you digest things, goes down your esophagus and your tubes. And but yeah, so Earth is, because it's constant, it's a fixed sign, so therefore sometimes health problems can be chronic for a Taurus, or maybe they like endurance for exercise, because endurance is all about building that stamina. And how do you build stamina? Do it over and over and over and over again. So some qualities right there for exercising and understanding about Taurus. But also, as I said, breaking down the food for the body to be able to work, and because your body needs nutrients, and for these nutrients to break down, you have to have a metabolism. And if you aren't breaking down nutrients, then your body isn't going to be high functioning as it should be. Because there's other ways, as you'll see in the later on in the zodiac sign, that there's other ways to get your metabolism going and getting things into your bloodstream, but the thyroid gland is very important for this. specifically. So then we move on to Gemini, which is an air sign, and go figure, we're on to the lungs. Breathe in that good air. So Gemini rules the lungs, your arms, because that's the next body part. And then it also rules the nervous system, which is in your spine and connects literally everything. So you're probably wondering what's so important about the nervous system, because that doesn't have anything to do with air. Well, actually, something very interesting about Gemini specifically, I mean, about all air signs, but Gemini specifically, because it's ruled by this planet Mercury. Mercury is all about carrying communication. So therefore, in order to communicate, you have to be able to breathe, to produce words. And then in order to have your body functioning and carry out duties in the physical world, you need your body to work. So therefore, the nervous system has touch to every organ and body part in your body, so that way your brain can connect with the rest of your body. And then you also have your arms, because literally you have to carry things in life. So therefore, that's the Gemini task. And these things are all changeable or flexible because they need to have diversity. Your lungs need to be able to expand. You need a wide range of motion. Your body needs to go vast distances across everywhere for information to communicate. And this is all about air. That's why I demonstrate air. Air's got to go somewhere, right? So moving on to Cancer. Very interestingly enough, Cancer is about the reproductive system, because what did I talk about earlier? The moon. The moon rules Cancer, so therefore Cancer rules specifically the female reproductive system. However, it's actually very questionable what Cancer can represent for men. Maybe their specific reproductive parts. But that's going to Scorpio territory, okay? Because some of these, let me say this, like just like your natal chart, all the zodiac signs are working together to make one whole. So therefore, your entire body has to be interacting with itself to make one whole. So therefore, different zodiac signs in the body are going to work on the same parts. So therefore, I try to pick out specific features that were just specific to a zodiac sign that doesn't share other qualities with the zodiac sign. And also, when I describe it to you and the characteristics of the zodiac sign, you can understand why this zodiac sign rules this specific body part. So specifically for females, because the moon is a feminine sign, a feminine planet. And because water is also a receptive energy, which is feminine in quality, this represents the uterus. So the uterus carries a baby. I didn't feel like I needed to explain any of the body parts in here because the female reproductive system is pretty self-explanatory. And then we have the rib cage, not part of the female body. That's to everybody. But what's so important about the rib cage outside of breasts for females? Well, the rib cage protects all the vital organs like your heart and your lungs in this cage. So therefore, for both males and females, your rib cage is very important to protecting. And just like motherly instincts, you want to protect what's precious and important to you. So therefore, the rib cage is part of Cancer. So then we're going to move on to Leo. Leo is a fixed fire sign. And Leo is ruled by the sun. So this is very important. Leo is ruled by the sun, which is very fitting because it rules the heart. So the heart literally is our life force, like the sun. Without the heart, we would not be living. But also without our neurons, are like literally how information is transferred in our brain, didn't work, we would cease to exist because nothing would move in our body. So in this picture right here, the myelin sheath is this covering that covers the neurons in your brain. If you remember, I'm not sure, but if I will put a picture right here, I have talked about Neuralink a couple of times, which is about Elon Musk's company on how to work with computers and chips and registering neurological literally neurological processes in the brain to work with to make the physical body work, or to work technology because your brain is still processing. There's just something wrong in your nervous system or in your spine that these are not being picked up and read, specifically your neurons. So this is showing you how important the neurological system is in the body and why Leo is very important. These things are ruled by the sun, so these things are literally what you need to be really conscious about. And also because it is a fixed sign, it's constant. And remember, we're talking about fire, hot and dry, always running. You can burn it out easily. You don't want to overburn it, because overburn can lead to damage, and you don't want these very important body parts damaged. So therefore you have to be careful. And Leo signs can tend, because they're always, as they say, Leos have the spotlight on them because of the sun, but also Leos have to tend to be a little bit more careful with their health, because they also don't know when to slow down. Because unlike an Aries who can get burnt out easily, a Leo's just going to keep going and going and going, like a Taurus, because a Taurus is a fixed sign. But with Taurus, they know how to take their leisurely time. Leo's just like, gotta go. You can't stop a Leo. It's like an Aries on steroids. And then we have Virgo, which is an earth sign. And Virgo, interestingly enough, is all about the health in the birth chart. So what's most important to your health? Well, you remember how I talked about there's other ways your body can maintain its metabolism and secrete things into the body? Here we go. It's Virgo through the pancreas, which in this picture right here, you see the stomach in gray, and then in pink, we have the pancreas. So it is believed that the pancreas is inside the stomach, and the stomach is where you digest your food, and through there it goes through your large intestines, which is your colon, which is this picture right here, and then your small intestines, which also, this is your entire digestive system, your small and large intestines. Then you have your small intestines right here that also helps with digestion. However, the pancreas secretes blood, so this helps with blood sugar. And what happens when you have an irregulated blood sugar? You can end up with diabetes. So this is another thing you have to be careful with. This is another type of way to metabolize the body. If your body isn't processing sugar right, or you're too low in sugar, or you're too high in sugar, or you just scattered all over the place, not consistent, flexible with your sugar, then therefore there could be regulatory problems. So therefore there are ways that your pancreas deals with this. However, you do have to be mindful, which is a Virgo quality. Be mindful of what you put in your body, because your body, basically like a plant has roots. Your mouth is like your root. You put food in your body and you get the nutrients from what you put in your body. And if you're not putting the right things in your body, or too much of the bad things in your body, then your body just can't function properly or work as efficiently as it could possibly. And therefore, this is why we have health problems. And learning about your zodiac sign will help you with this in particularly, because once you know what's in your first house, of course in all your houses, because there are some more health houses, but the first house in particular is really important to talk about the physical, literal body. So moving on further, we have Libra, which is all about balance. Remember, we talked about the adrenal glands right up here. Well, Leo doesn't rule the adrenal glands, but here we are with the kidneys. Now popping up, the adrenal glands are right on top of the kidneys, which is very fitting because, as I said, Aries high strung. You got it, the adrenaline pumping, gotta go, go, go. But the kidneys gotta learn to woosah, bring it down, bring it back into balance, because that's a Libra quality. Rein it in. It's like, hey, you gotta be careful with what you're doing, because we have to maintain the body. So it's like what you put into your body, we gotta be able to sift through the waste and take it out, so that way we're not having too much of the bad things. And also because your kidneys if you have kidney problems, specifically with alcoholism, if you are drinking too much alcohol. I mean, there's other reasons to have kidney problems, but that's the first one that came to my mind. If you're drinking too much alcohol, you're damaging your kidneys, and therefore you're not, kidney stones are also a problem too. But this is all about your body not being able to have balance in itself, and this is why it's having these problems. Because alcohol literally is a type of poison. Alcohol poisoning, you can die from too much alcohol. So if your kidneys, get too much that alcohol. But so you maintaining the physical environment, so you got to keep your insides maintained as well as your outside environment. Because things are changing every day, nothing's the same, so therefore you have to be able to stay the same inside, or else you just never know what's going to go on with your body every day. It's kind of like it's kind of almost like everything about the body is about being regulatory, about finding the balance in yourself, because naturally you're going to be off balance. You're going to have too much of one sign, or you're going to have too much of one element, and therefore you're going to have to find the balance, because that's what life is about. Fixing these imbalances in us and everything, and learning to be comfortable and working with what we have, because life is an experiment and we go through life working things out. So what is one thing we have to work out in this physical world? Health. Because you have both a mental health and a physical health, and both have to be maintained in order for your physical health to be a-okay. So then we have Scorpio, your sexual reproductive system. However, it also represents your sweat glands, which I could see. You got to find a way to excrete, because with sexual reproduction, you can ejaculate either from either sex, but you can also pop out a baby. That's another way of ejaculating. So therefore, these are all about releasing things from the body. And another way to help with that is your groin area. I learned what a groin was. It's your inner thighs, basically. And what does the inner thighs do? It keeps those legs closed. And also it helps keep your legs together as well when you're working or doing any type of physical activity. That's why you can spread your legs this way and then bring it back together, because you have this groin area. I think of it like a rubber band that if you hold it out, you can stretch it out, but then it's gonna revert back, because it wants to keep everything fixed, keep everything constant in the way it's supposed to be. So therefore, if it can't revert back to the way it is, but also has to be able to transform and mutate, because this also has to do with the reproductive system and what opens and closes legs, and your, if you're specifically a female, your lower half down there has to be able to expand in order for a baby to come out. And because of this, your body has to be able to maintain your physical structure, so it has to be able to revert back the way it does. See, this runs into Cancer a little bit. But, so this is all about flexibility, because you have to be able to flex and stretch and hold that and be able, that's basically transforming, because this was not your original state. This is now your new state. But you have to be able to transform or convert back to a new state, because you're never going to go back to the way you originally were. As they say, once you have a baby, you're never the same. So really you have to be able to transform and work with that. And another way for your lower half, if you're a female, to work, goes right back up. So here we are, moving on to Sagittarius. Oh wow, wasn't I just talking about your lower half having to be able to expand? Well, Sagittarius is a flexible fire sign. So they rule the hips, the thighs, and the gluteus maximus. So they rule so here's a picture of the pelvis, which is part of your hips. Again, your hips have to be able to open and close and expand, flexible, mutable, being able to basically never in one place, which is very fitting for a fire sign. in which, because Sagittarius, because these are certain things I'm going to be picking out for each zodiac sign. For Sagittarius, it is a centaur, which is a half horse, half human, and the half horse just happens to be what? The lower half. And what happens to be the lower half? The thighs, your butt, and your hips. Because that's what the lower half just happens to be of a horse. And what do horses like to do? You can't tame a horse. A horse likes to run free. So like a fire sign, your legs specifically are made for endurance and be able to handle the rest of the weight of your body, but also carry the weight of your body and all the movements that you're doing. And interestingly enough, I learned that your thighs keep your hips aligned and your legs as well, because your legs got to attach to your hips. And if your hips are in line, what has to work with that? Your groin, which keeps the legs inward, as we was talking about. As I said, all these body parts got to work together somehow, because the zodiac signs work together in your birth chart to make you one whole person. And so then we move on to Capricorn. Ooh, wow, Capricorn is all about the skin and all about the bones and connective tissue. And you're probably, I would have put a picture of connective tissue, but looking online, it's not very clear what you're looking at when you look at connective tissue. However, to explain what connective tissue is, it repairs the damages of your muscles, and it also helps transport nutrients to your organs. Because like Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn has rings, so rings is all about confinement. And what do the skin does? Confines your bones. But what do bones do? Give structure to the skin. And what does the connective tissue do? Allow those organs to get their nutrients, because you know they have to travel through somewhere, because they're connecting through connective tissue. So therefore it's like communication. So therefore, hey, one nutrient's got to get over, okay, let's connect, you get it? But it's always connected, so it's kind of like a, and that's why you have muscle contractions, which we're going to be talking about. Moving on to Aquarius, because Aquarius is all about the muscles and your lower legs. So like your calves and your ankles and your shins. So why are these so important? Well, that's actually a good question. Why is this specifically for Aquarius? That I'm not particularly sure about. However, talking about muscles and talking about the legs, because the legs are a powerhouse of the body if you think about it in that sense. And they also allow you to move, because without ankles you wouldn't be connected to your feet, and therefore you would be limited. However, enough about my theorizing. Aquarius helps with oxygen in the blood. Now, I know I'm going to be talking about Pisces right after this, which is about blood. However, this particular, it's not just like blood in general, what blood does. No, Aquarius specifically helps carry oxygen, like an air sign. Carry oxygen in the blood, so that way you're able to have your muscles move. Because you ever had a muscle cramp? That's because the muscle was not getting enough oxygen. And if you're not getting enough oxygen, you're going to have like a cramp, because your leg is going to like seize, because it's just like, it might have like a reaction, because there's not, I mean, you have blood flow going there, but it's just not oxygenated blood. So therefore it's not able to have its electrical impulses work like it needs to. So it might get like stuck, like a glitch, like, and then it's like, okay, we got oxygen. Don't know what that was. And so you got to be careful with this too. And you know what? I actually think that is very fitting, because have you ever had a muscle cramp in your calves? That hurts so much. But this is how your body flows, and your body flows through muscles and through oxygen and blood too. But in order for your legs to make you move, you have to have those electrical impulses work, because that's how muscles work, by contracting and releasing, because it has to have electricity move it, because it's a muscle. It's almost like a bone. it needs something to move it. So the neural system, the nervous system, helps move these, and that's why it's very important to have your Malin sheaths, those Aries and Leo, intact, because if not, you're going to be having problems with your body parts not working, as I was talking about earlier. And then lastly, we have Pisces, and Pisces is always about going within. That's a very Pisces trait, at least in the birth chart, because it's all about the transcending and the spiritual body. So where's your spiritual body? Inside of you. You can't see it. That's why it rules the immune system, because we can't see against all these bacteria and germs that get inside of us, but our body can defend it even though we cannot see it. And that is why we have to remain healthy and have a healthy body, because then your immune system is healthy. Because if you look at it, you have all these different parts of your body that regulates your immune system. And also your blood. You gotta have healthy blood and nutritious blood, because without that, as I've repeated so many times, your body is not going to function properly like it should when you don't have proper blood flow as well. But also, if you do not have... Blood is like a message, okay? Like, since we're talking about the whole body and the spiritual body, everything that you think about, I've been hearing this the last couple of days. So everything you internalize in your body, everything you think about, those messages are going to get translated. And where do they go? If they're not going through your nervous system, they're going to be going into your bloodstream. So then you're going to have this negative energy. Actually, this is very fitting, because this is spiritualism, and knowing about energy in your body is energy. And the energy that flows through your body, besides literally electrical energy, is your blood. So that is the energy and your life force that flows through you. But it is also something sacred that you should, just like your body, take seriously and want to understand, but also nourish, because healthy mind, healthy body, as they say, healthy spirit, healthy body. Because if you have negative energy inside you, it is going to internalize eventually, and it's going to show and manifest physically in one of these zodiac signs, depending on where your stressors are. And this is why it's important to know about your health, your body, both mentally and physically. And that is why we're learning about astrology, because we got to learn about ourselves and how to take care of ourselves and love ourselves. So let's learn about Kim Kardashian, because I did talk about the first house. And I mentioned when I talked about her video that feet would be prominent for her because Neptune is in her first house, and Neptune rules Pisces. However, I did read that wrong, because it's not, because sometimes you're not going to have a planet in your first house. So therefore, what body part is going to be prominent? It's going to be the zodiac signs that are in your first house. And if you want to locate your first house, you have this dark line right here, which is your horizon line. And right below it, it has 12, which is Pisces, your physical, your spiritual body, which we'll get into, and that'll be the last thing I talk about. But we're talking about your physical body, because we got to start at 1. And in order to have a spiritual body, you got to have a physical body first, because you got to pop into the physical world, and that's your first step in order to have a birth chart. So AC stands for your rising sign, and rising sign, as I said, represents your physical body and what you're going to have most prominent in you, on you, or in you, because as I said, zodiac signs both rule the inside and outside parts of your body, because it's all the body. And 2 zodiac signs that just happened to be in Kim Kardashian's first house is Sagittarius and Capricorn. So therefore, Sagittarius, as we talked about, was the hips and thighs. And if you look at Kim Kardashian, her hips and thighs are pretty prominent, and she also gets them enhanced, but also got them reduced. I mean, aside from other parts of her body, but those are always going to be the most prominent features we're going to see on her, regardless. And that's very fitting, because as a rising sign, that's the first thing we're going to see of her, because that's the thing that she presents to the world. which is very fitting because those parts are also good for reproductive system. But you can see she likes to stay exercise and keep fit, and she's in the gym, so who knows if she does cardiovascular work like endurance or like running, because those are very good things to keep Sagittarius, but all fire signs, but specifically Sagittarius, healthy. And then a secondary thing that's going to be important for her is skin and the bones, which I'm not sure about the bones, but when I was talking about the feet, I was like, when you think about feet, you think about bones, because like your hands, those are where a lot of your bones are concentrated in your body, is your hands and your feet. However, she has beauty skincare line, very prominent for her, because it's the first house, so she is very keen on keeping her physical body looking nice and her skin looking nice. Because the first house is all about how you want to look to the world, but also how your body works physically, but also how you can work to maintain your physical body as well. And with that being said, that is how you can read your first house. Now that you know what zodiac signs rule your different body parts, and now you can figure out and look at yourself in the mirror like, is something on my face most prominent, Aries? Look at it. Is there something about my arms, or is, these are just things you can start looking about. Or if you have health problems, I mean, that ties into the 6th and 8th house, because those are health houses as well as your 12th house, because that's about your spiritual body. However, we're talking about just purely physical at the moment. And the 6th and 8th house can help into your health, but also a very good place to look first when really looking at your health is the first house. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy this and you just learned about yourselves a tiny bit more. And with that being said, bye!